Close enough to me.
Call meeting in order. Roll, please.
Mr. Kelly?
You say me?
Mr. Kelly?
I don't have my hearing aids turned up. Here.
Mr. Porter? Mr. Bonner? Mr. Spalding?
Here.
Mr. Wade?
Here. This meeting is being recorded by audio tape. Mr. Mason Brown, you mind leading us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right. Motion to adopt the agenda for May 20, 2024.
I'll second it.
Roll, please.
Mr. Porter?
Yes.
Mr. Bonner?
Yes.
Mr. Spalding?
Yes.
Mr. Wade?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Welcome to visitors to this and all board meetings. The board desires citizens of the district to attend its meetings so they can become better acquainted with the operations and programs of the schools, and so that the board may have an opportunity to hear the wishes and ideas of the public. All meetings of the board are open to the public and the media. Do we have any requests?
No, I do not.
All right. Recognitions and presentations.
We do have one presentation this evening from Ms. Putnam.
Good evening. Handing each of you a packet before the meeting starts. And we're just asked to give a quick update on staff changes that we have going on currently for the next school year and positions that we have left to fill in. Ms. Payne said I had to be quick. So we've broken this down for you by building, so you get an idea of the changes we've had in each building. Not a lot of change out of the primary school this year. We have one teacher transferring into a new position. We haven't filled her position yet, but we should have that done, I would say, this week or next week. At Mount Logan, we do have one retirement. Angela Francis, we recognized her at a previous board meeting. She will be retiring. She's been working on our digital academy for the last few years. And on the next page, in the intermediate school, we do have some retirements there. I just want to recognize Treva Baker, Michael Beverly, and Brenda Southworth. Treva and Brenda were two of my first teaching partners in Chillicothe City Schools. So just a little shout out to them and hope they have a good retirement. We do have, we posted for a behavior specialist social worker position at that building. Currently, we are not filling that position. And Mrs. Weinhardt is looking at other ways to redistribute workloads across the staff that we already have and some creative ways working with the counseling source in order to fill the need that we have there. So we may not fill that position. So that's why you see that as left blank on that line. And I also wanted to let you know we are hiring an additional gifted instructional specialist. We have one currently, Dr. Lindsay Burns is our gifted teacher. She works mainly out of the intermediate school, but truthfully works throughout the entire district. Her caseload is very high, 150 students or something, which is a lot for one person to manage. We've kind of passed that where one person can really manage that entire caseload. So we are hiring another gifted instructional specialist. That will also allow us to begin the process for identifying students in fine arts, which some of the local schools have started that process. We plan to do that as well, which is a great way to recognize our students with talents in the performing arts, music, fine art as well. So we're excited about that position. In the middle school, we do have our positions filled currently. We have a couple, or one transfer, and one that we have hired. On the next page, we go into the high school, and we still have an opening for a science teacher. We are still struggling to get that position filled, so if you know anybody interested in high school science, please send them our way. I also wanted to just recognize that we hired another orchestra teacher. That puts us at 2 orchestra teachers. This is something we've had always in the past, and there was a time when we had to cut one of those. This is really just kind of making that right again. We really stretched the last orchestra teacher, or 2 actually, very far, working with grades 4 through 12. So we've kind of been able to, through retirements and other positions, make that right for the district again. On the next page, there is just a chart there. We're trying to keep a better handle on the cost savings when we turn over staff. We've been working with Mrs. Zaylor to do so, just so we can add a real figure to what are we saving when we replace a teacher who is retired at the top of this pay scale with a teacher who is coming in at the beginning. So we're working on those. That gives you a rough idea. This is obviously not complete for this school year and will continue to change. We're also keeping track of the reasons for separation of employment. So I just put that graphic on there. Right now, the reasons for employment separation really fall into about 4 categories. It could have been a district initiated separation, retirement. We have quite a few employees that get positions closer to home where they live, and there are a few that leave because they're seeking higher wages than what we are able to provide. I will tell you that typically is what we have been hearing from our classified staff that choose to leave employment here to go elsewhere. On the next page, I threw this in with the last update I gave the committee. It just gives you an idea of where our certified staff are in terms of what step they are on. So you can kind of see we are step 10, step 11 and younger. We're definitely heavier with our staff, which kind of leads to a younger staff across the board. It gives you an idea of that. The next page and a half is really just an overview of applicants we have had for positions. Just kind of gives you an amount we have had for elementary, for middle school, for high school, the amount of applicants we have, and then some breakdown of who those applicants were. And last but not least, I just wanted to touch base on our classified positions. Most are filled. In fact, I thought we had custodian filled, but we had one employment that fell through this afternoon, so we are still looking for one custodian. But we have filled our nurse aide positions, our paraprofessionals, maintenance, cafeteria, transportation is also filled. We have 2 drivers who are, actually I think one takes the test next week, but are being trained, so we have all of those positions filled. The assistant bus mechanic is one we have yet to be able to find an applicant for, frankly. We've reached out to some resources at Pickaway Ross and trying to find someone that might be interested in that position, but that continues to be one that we have not filled. So that's where we are in terms of staffing. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, as far as the assistant bus mechanic, what about Clint? What, he's not a,
So he went elsewhere.
oh, he did, okay.
That falls under that category of seeking higher wages. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Putnam.
Thank you. Next, student liaison report.
Hello, my name is Mason Brown, and it's nice to finally be here in person. Baseball season wrapped up, so I'm able to be here. Today, I'd like to outline one of my favorite parts of CHS, and that would be our Keys to Success program. At the end of the year, we have our Keys Rally, where we give out thousands of dollars worth of prizes, and I just think it's one of the great things that make Chillicothe so special. Get my notes up a little bit. But personally, I've been a member of Keys all of my years in high school. Won some gift cards, won a pair of AirPods this year, so that was nice. But I just think it's such a great program that's specific to Chillicothe. A lot of schools have made We Have Keys, which is specific to us, and we have the ability to win a car. A lot of places don't have that. So I talked to Ms. Vicky Bartlett, who's in charge of Keys to Success, and over half the school is involved. There's 447 active members as of this year, and the number's gone up every year. And she told me that just a lot of the money comes, they have $13,000 in grant money, And we also have a lot of sponsorships that come, there are scholarships that come from Gerber Insurance. John Loads gave one this year, who's one of my best friend Isaac's older brothers. And then also the Chillicothe Education Foundation. And all those scholarships go to seniors, and it's just an amazing way to reward them for the work they've done. I've also talked to Mr. Phillips, who is the official face of Keys to Success. He's not in charge, but he's the one who MCs the prize giveaways, and he calls them out. He makes it really fun for everyone. And just with that being so front and center at the rallies, everyone's kind of adopted him as like the mascot for Keys to Success. So I talked to him about what it means to him because it seems so important in his life. And he told me that his favorite part about Keys is that he has students reach out to him every year, and he scrolled through the emails. I didn't read them, but of personal stories of kids who have faced drug and alcohol use, and just some stories about how the Keys to Success maybe didn't fix them, I guess. Not, those aren't the words, but really just gave them a place where they could openly try to change. And just, he told me that the first step in recognizing a problem. And he just said that it really touches him that they're willing to reach out to him because they're students that he hasn't even had in class, but they just feel so open to him. And then he also said that he feels like Keys to Success breaks the stigma of saying no to alcohol because so many kids are involved. It's not the peer pressure almost isn't there here at Chillicothe because it seems like everyone is a part of Keys and has the same goal. And then also I wasn't able to talk to him in person, but the winner of the car this year was a junior named Solomon Dixon. He's on the volleyball team. He's an amazing guy, and I don't think there's anyone that the school would. I think that Solomon would have been the guy that people voted on to win the car. So it was really amazing to see. The Chillicothe Gazette posted a video of him when he won the car, calling his mom. He hugged the Hernsteins, and it was a great moment, and I just think really encapsulates the love for Keys to Success and just the great program it is. So again, it's just one of my favorite parts about Chillicothe that I think gives us our own sense of community and culture because it's specific to us. We're not a part of MAID. We have Keys to Success, and I think that's really cool to say, and I just think it's one of the things that makes Chillicothe great. So thank you. That's all I've got.
Thank you, Mason. Legislative update. A couple things. The House Bill 250, some highlights on that is adding vans to the list of vehicles that can be used during transportation, and also requiring each public school to adopt a policy governing use of cell phones, and requiring the Department of Education and Workforce to adopt a model cell phone policy. So that's passed, waiting on the governor to sign. And then House Bill 50 is currently been sent to the Senate for their approval, and a lot of it is property tax, stuff like that. And I think that's about the highlights. Claudia, you got anything else on that?
Just that according to the property tax that you're talking about, there were a group of treasurers that went up and explained the effects of school districts and those districts that are at the 20 mil floor, that if you modify that in tangent with the current formula, they have to look at all sides of that, or it could skew school funding across the state. So it was I couldn't send you all the presentation, but it was very well received. And I think both the House and the Senate members were educated a little bit on that process.
All right.
I'm sorry, Ryan. I missed the first part of what you said about House Bill 250. I got the cell phones and that, but I missed the first part. Okay.
The first part was, those were amendments that were made to it. So adding vans to the list of vehicles that can be used in the transportation
Vans.
pilot program.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Thank you. I couldn't hear that.
All right. Takeaway Ross update?
Yeah, just had the pleasure of passing out passports at graduation Thursday, and they graduated 378. So it's a good graduation. And Mason, when I give my report, don't do what I do. Okay? You do a lot better than what I do. That's all I got.
All right, board action, David Mead Massey Trust Grant. Have a motion on that?
I'll make a motion for that. I'll second.
Roll, please.
Mr. Spalding,
Yes.
Mr. Wade,
Yes.
Mr. Kelly,
Yes.
Mr. Porter, Mr. Bonner.
Yes.
And the second is selecting architect and authorizing the superintendent and treasurer to negotiate an agreement with the architect for design and construction administrative services for the school-based health center project. Got a motion on that one?
I'll motion.
I'll second.
Roll, please.
Mr. Spalding,
Yes.
Mr. Wade,
Yes.
Mr. Kelly,
Yes.
Mr. Porter,
Yes.
Mr. Bonner.
Yes.
Treasurer report and recommendations?
Yes, so you'll give me just a moment to pull up. I've distributed copies of the five-year forecast to you. In order to ask for your approval tonight, I did put together a small presentation for our audience here this evening. So in November, we had a forecast that wasn't looking very great. We had been hit by pro-choice vouchers that were given, and the qualifications to receive those vouchers had been modified by the Senate. And it affected a lot of school districts. It affected us. And so we lost about 88 kids total overall from last May to November, which had a negative impact on our five-year forecast. So I want to first and foremost say that this forecast is partnered with our strategic plan that we have been working on for the last several months. And in tangent with that, Deb Swinehart and I have had several conversations about it. All of the action steps that are being discussed and the direction that the district wants to go, we are expected to grow our enrollment. So that assumption is key to this five-year forecast. And I felt like in order to really get behind this strategic plan, we had to get behind it financially, and we have to get behind it as a district, not just the central admin, not just our administrators, our supervisors, but our teachers, our students, our board, our community. And when that plan is released, I think the community will be very, very impressed. I think we're going to have options that are going to be, as Dana was talking to you guys about some of the curriculum that we're planning to do to implement, that some of that can't start until 26 just because of funding and applications and such, but it has already started in discussions and has been for the last several months and would begin to take actual shape in January. So having said all of that, with the assumption that we were going to start growing our projected enrollment in the fiscal year of 26, our cash balance begins to turn around and begins to become more stable. So that is this first screen. You'll see that the black bar is actually the revenue and the gray bar is actually expenditures. And the yellow line that flows through there is our cash balance. Last meeting or the meeting before, you passed a resolution to approve a cash balance policy that has been recommended from the state. Ours says that, we can't have less than so many days of cash, or we can't have more than so many days of cash, which to the board's credit, that allows us not to completely go broke, but also not to build a balance and sit on it. It means that we have to stay fair to our students and our staff and all of the programs that we offer here at the district. And I think that was very wise. When we look at this over 5 years, Deb and I have to start having conversations and then bringing in the school board to make even further educated decisions, even though we're looking at 5 years and nobody really knows on that 4 and 5 years because the biennium is only 2 years and we're, you don't know, sometimes you're dealing with 3 or 4 years that may not even be in law. So this is a summary of what your beginning cash balance looks like, your revenue, your total revenue, the total expenditures, and whether or not it's a surplus or a deficit. Now, we realize in fiscal year 24, we have a positive cash balance, and that's mainly due because of ESSER funds that are needed. This is the last year for ESSER funds, and we were able to save the district some money for a couple of years using ESSER. But in next fiscal year, those funds are no longer available, so you'd expect, and we made a promise to the staff and to the students that we would not cut any of the programs that were funded by ESSER. We've come too far. We've come too far to go backwards. So Deb and I talked, and we were willing to buy a year and get some of these other things in place to grow. So we've really worked hard as the central office staff, communicating and then bringing in the administrators and people from the community to focus on how we can make Chillicothe better for everyone in our community and stop losing students to other districts and open enrollment. So having said that, our cash balance stays pretty healthy through your fiscal year 28. This is just an overview of revenue. You can see that our revenue is a steady increase, and that's a testament, like I said, to growing our student population and just starting in fiscal year 26 and steadily increase it each year until we get to the percentage of our commitments within our strategic plan. You can tell that we heavily are relying on state funding. We are a formula district. That means every student in attendance increases our funding, but also every student that leaves decreases our funding. So I'll emphasize again, our strategic plan moving forward is going to be crucial that all of our staff, our students buy in, and our community and our stakeholders buy in to our strategic plan, and we start talking our strategic plan, and we start talking positively about all of our options and the benefits that we can do for individualized education plans for our students and our residents. The expenditures, you'll also note that those continue to, they take a pretty good hike in 25, and again, that's because ESSER goes away, but then they steadily increase. So we're not going to level off our spending and squirrel away cash balance. That's why we put a cash balance in place. We're not here to make a profit. We're here to keep the doors open and to offer the best education curriculum that we can to our students. Salary and benefits, of course, are your biggest expenditures for a school district. This is the revenue compared to the prior forecast we have. You can see that our real estate income went up slightly, but that's due because of the valuations have increased. The biggest increase here, I would like to say, is other revenue, and that is mainly attributed to interest income. With the economic status the way that it is, I have looked at other investment options, allowable investment options within certain companies, and spread the district investments out to get the most money that we can from every direction. We accumulate anywhere from $45,000 to $70,000 a month in interest income, and so much to the extent that there were a few months that I was a little bit nervous waiting on property tax advance to come in, and I was having to transfer funds back and forth just to make payroll. And I would do it the day before because I was like, maybe it'll come today. But it got really tight for a while because our grants are on reimbursement basis. So I did have to move money around, but I really believe, I always tell everybody interest income is free money to us. So why not make the most of it? This is expenditures. You can tell that our biggest on here, it's a little misleading, is intergovernmental and debt and other, that are transfers and advances where we've had to advance money out or transfer money out. And that was either at the fiscal year end close, or we were setting aside money for permanent improvement commitment and to pay retirement salaries when teachers leave. And then with all of the changes, and to the board's credit and to all the central administration who sat down together and sometimes may not have always agreed on how to handle things moving forward, and overall administration, even our financial secretaries who have played a part in trying to make revisions and get the best price that we have available to us since we came out with the discussion in January. We have been able to, and the assumption of growing our enrollment for the next 5 years, we have a favorable $3 million swing. That is huge. That is what, when other districts are talking about running levies, we've been able to be creative and innovative in our thought process so that we do not have to go out to our community and as of now, and we don't have to make any staffing changes. So I think it's notable, just to make a note, that with those changes and those assumptions and getting everybody behind that, we could have a $3 million swing in our cash balance. But again, I will state again, heavily assuming that we will grow our enrollment. Outside of the 5-year forecast, I have items A through J for your approval this evening. I guess I should have asked if anybody had any questions. I apologize.
I'll second it.
Roll, please.
Mr. Spalding?
Yes.
Mr. Wade?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Porter?
Yes.
Mr. Bonner?
Yes.
Superintendent recommendations?
Thank you. Under superintendent recommendations, we have items A through D. Under D, number 3, employment, we do have some new staff members, and I'll go ahead and read their names if they're here. I'd like for them to stand up so we can welcome you. Jenny Walters for CHS High School, math teacher. Peyton Davis, CIS 3rd grade. Peyton is a Chillicothe graduate. And I do believe her brother was valedictorian this year. We are going to welcome DeMarco Washington back as a permanent sub to CMS. We also have Donna Turner, 712 building custodian second shift. Denny Young, 712 building custodian second shift. Sheila Gray, Mount Logan aide. And Jessica Moss, CIS nurse. Also, I see we have Chelsea Herbert here, and Chelsea is leaving 1st grade at CPS, and she will be our new elementary gifted instructional specialist. So we'll get Chelsea. So we have, for superintendent, we have items A through D, please.
Got a motion on that?
I'll motion.
I'll second.
Roll, please.
Mr. Bonner?
Yes.
Mr. Spalding?
Yes.
Mr. Wade?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Porter?
Yes.
Now, board member comments. I'd like to take a second to recognize and thank everybody that worked so hard for graduation on Saturday night. Another successful graduation, so thank you to those, and thanks for the hard work. Anyone else?
Yes, yeah, thank you. It's kind of loud. First of all, I hope Debbie Swinehart's recovering well. I know that a neck surgery, that's nothing to sneeze at, and I hope she gets along real well. And I was glad that Ms. Zaylor brought up the strategic plan. I was looking at that, and I appreciate Ms. Swinehart sending that out. And I've been kind of swamped, haven't had a chance to email her back, but I'm with greater detail what I'll go into now. But started out, it was really fantastic. The mission statement I thought was really it was concise. It was to the point. It's the type of direction you want your district to go. It was really good. Then as it went on, just more. There was so much in there. Goals and testing and surveys, and just really, I'm just one of those things. just don't want us to get lost so we can't see the forest because of the trees. And I was kind of just surprised that when Mrs. Ayler said that, our forecast is based on growth, although there was a lot of assessing and this and that, there was no concrete talk about what we're going to do to increase enrollment, i.e. to have so many students not leave here. I mean, that's why our enrollment's going down, because so many students are leaving our district. And I didn't really see any concrete plan for that. I mean, it could be all encompassed into one type of plan, but I didn't see that, along with what I always talk about, and I apologize, I know ad nauseum, what we are going to do specifically to raise our test scores. I know we talk about, assessments and this and that, but nothing specifically about how we're going to raise our state testing scores. And I just, I know I'm whipping a dead horse. I beat this to death. There is such a direct correlation between enrollment growth and how well you perform on those state tests. And I think somebody say this, to put it nicely, I think we can't see the forest because of the trees when we look at all these other ideas, which have their merit, no doubt, but it's not really just basic. So I will send out an email that's more comprehensive than that, which everyone can look at. But I was so glad to hear that our treasurer bring up that growth was included. I hope we can attain that goal. Thank you.
Anyone else? Motion to adjourn?
Make a motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, yeah, almost forgot that.